What's going on, guys? Michael here from Just Another Car Enthusiast, and today we're going to be doing a vlog, something we haven't done in a long time, ever since the Ranger, which, by the way, I will be giving you a bit of an update on that in this video. But as you guys could see from the title, I bought a new project car, and I only paid $200 for it, and I think I got a pretty good deal, but I wanted to just take you guys and show it to you while I had some time, and so let you guys know what we will be doing in the future as far as tearing down an engine. So let's go ahead and go take a look at what we got. Alright guys, so ready to see what we got. I know, another Mustang. Yeah, so this is probably one of the cheapest Mustang GTs ever bought, though. It's a 97 GT with a 4.6 liter. But you guys are wondering, and of course it's the 2-valve, you know, not the Cobra engine. But you guys are probably wondering, how did he get it for just $200? Well, there's actually a story behind this that we will get into in just a few minutes. Sorry about that, guys. The camera cut real quick. But the simplified version of why I got this car for so cheap is, well, yeah, that's why. Unfortunately, it is leaking water into the oil, which could be a major problem. It could just be a head gasket, could be a cracked block. I haven't tore into it yet to find out, but we will be doing that in a short video. But before we fix this Mustang, the other one's having some problems, so let's go take a look at that. Okay, so the reason why we are working on the baby again is, so about, I guess, 2 or 3 days ago, I was driving the Mustang uptown, just cruising around, and it started hesitating, like it would kind of like, ew, like it didn't want to stay into overdrive. And I was like, that's strange, because, you know, we've had problems with it in the past, and so I completely changed out all the gaskets, talking the dipstick gasket. And when I got home, I found that, I guess, the dipstick gasket bolt just broke off. And when I went to check the dipstick, like the fluid for the transmission, when I pulled it out, the whole shaft came out with it. So dumping transmission fluid all over the place. And so, yeah, we got to go get some more transmission fluid. It's just a matter of how much we need. So let's take a look real quick. So yeah, as you guys can see, it's kind of low, I would say about a quart low. So we're gonna hop in this thing real quick and cut it off. There we go. And go uptown and get some fluid. So yeah, while we're riding in the ST, I'll go ahead and tell you guys the story about how I got the GT. So catch you guys in just a second. All right, so how did I get a Mustang GT, even if it has a blown engine, for $200? Well, the story behind the car is I've watched that car rot to the ground ever since I was a little kid. It belonged to a family friend that was also a kind of a business friend of my father's. He basically buys all the batteries off of like Walmart's shelf after the shelf life's bad, and then he turns around and sells them for a discounted price with the warranty. That's how he does. That's how he makes a living. Really super nice guy, and that's where we get all of our batteries for our RVs and stuff like that, from him. Well, I watched this Mustang sit in his yard and rot to the ground ever since I can remember, ever since I was a little kid. I knew he bought it brand new in '98, with no miles on it, and I couldn't just let it sit. Like, I had to ask about it. You know, I had never asked when I was growing up, so I was like, well, what do I got to lose? So I asked him, I said, hey, Mr. David, what would you sell that car to me? He said, well, I don't know, Michael. Because I don't really think I'm going to sell it right now. I said, well, I know it's been sitting for a long time. I said, but you know, if you make me a fair price, I might buy it from you. He goes, okay, I'll think about it. I got your number. He called me the very next day and said, hey, Michael, I thought about what you said, and I want you to buy it from me. I said, okay, well, you know, what would you know of anything that's wrong with it? He said, yeah. And down in Alabama, South Alabama, we rarely have like freezing temperatures. It barely gets, you barely have to winterize anything. And since the car had sat for a little while, it didn't have any antifreeze in it. It was just water. Well, we had a deep freeze. And as a matter of fact, it took out my Ranger's water pump at the same time as it basically, whenever he fired it up to move it to cut the grass, he noticed that it died on idle. And he's like, that's weird. So he goes and he looked at the oil, and, well, you guys saw what it was like. It was like milk. And I tried, after I first got it, I ran block sealer through it, I ran head gasket treatment through it, taking the off chance that, you know, those things usually never work, but taking the off chance that I wouldn't have to tear into the engine, you know, that's what I tried, and nothing worked. So that's how I ended up with the car for $200. He said, if you give me a couple $100, you could take it home. And I was like, heck yeah! It's only got 100,000 miles on the transmission and chassis and everything. The engine had been replaced about 40,000 miles ago, which is ridiculous. And then it blew again. I'm going to be making a series on the channel, though, about tearing into it and actually, you know, seeing what's going on with it. I'm hoping that it's a head gasket, or maybe, because I know if it's like a crack in the water jackets, or even anywhere in the block itself, you just got to throw the whole engine away and get a new one, or get a short block and build the top end. But if I'm going to do that, I was going to replace the cams, and since it is the single overhead cam 2 valve, since I was gonna have to tear into it anyway, since it had all that crap, that, you know, the water and the oil mixture, I call it mayonnaise because it looks like mayonnaise, thrown up all over the cams and the lifters and the valves. And funny thing is, it actually fires up. It's not good to run it. I've only done it when I've had to move it, but it actually fires up and idles just fine. Of course, you know, it's doing internal damage, so you're not supposed to do that, but just for shits and giggles, I did that because I figured I was going to have to replace the engine anyway. Now that I think about it, I'm going to give it a shot at tearing it down, and if it's gaskets, I'll just rebuild it and then have a GT. I like to build that one as a real muscle car, because I know the V6, I can squeeze I can squeeze about 300 horsepower out of that thing, maybe. And with that Mustang GT, I could probably get the same results, just not as crazy modified, you know what I mean? So that's how I got the Mustang GT, and I've had it for almost about a year now. Now that I think about it, and I've been wanting to do a video on it this whole entire time. I just really haven't had a chance to. But just to update you guys on what happened with the Ranger, because that was the last vlog I did. I couldn't get the Ranger fired up after I rebuilt the engine. Well, I figured out why it wouldn't fire up, because stupid me put the spark plugs in the wrong order. I thought I had marked them. I was messed up. I got just 2 of them swapped, and of course it wasn't going to fire if the spark plugs were not in the right order. So I rearranged the ones where they're supposed to go, and it fired right up. Why haven't I had it on the channel, though, if I successfully rebuilt it? Well, I didn't take the engine out of the engine bay when I rebuilt it. I did it in place, because I was only taking the top end apart. Well, the freeze plugs were one of the things that popped, which caused the head gasket to blow in the first place. Well, I put rubber freeze plugs in those, because, you know, with a copper or a brass freeze plug, you have to take a hammer and you hammer it into the plug hole. But you can't do that whenever it's sitting in the engine bay. It has to be on a stand. You know, I built it in the engine bay, so I couldn't replace them with what should have been there. So I put the rubber freeze plugs, and rubber expands and contracts, and it popped out again. I had it for about 3 or 4 months after that I drove it, and it did beautiful. It was great. I mean, other than the stupid cold air intake popping off every now and then, but that was fine. But anyway, that's I got it going again. And I was going down the road, and it started overheating, and I was like, oh, come on. And what happened, essentially, was that the freeze plug popped out again and the water drained out of the engine and it blew a head gasket again, basically. At least I think it's a head gasket. I got water in the oil again. So, you know, that's where I left off on the Ranger. I parked it because I just didn't have time to mess with it. I had the Mustang GT that I wanted to do first. I had my Mustang that I wanted to finish, which back then I had to, what I did is the fuel pump went out, I mean. So I dropped the tank, completely cleaned the tank out, replaced the fuel pump, replaced the fuel filter, cleaned out the fuel lines, new spark plugs, and then I put the dual exhaust on it. And then I also dropped the transmission because I kept having transmission fluid leaks. And I could not find out where they come from because I kept replacing the gaskets with, like, the ones I got from AutoZone, which were a different material than what's from the factory. Well, I had enough of that. I just went to Napa, and I got the right gasket. And I put it on there, and I also did the dipstick gasket, which was like a O-ring. And that fixed it. And this was just weird that this had happened. I really think that bolt ended up breaking. I really think that's what it is. But anyway, so we're at AutoZone right now. I don't know if you guys can see me, the convertible top behind me. That's a Mustang GT. But anyway, let's go into AutoZone real quick and get the transmission fluid. So I'll see you guys in just a second. So we are back, and I went ahead and got 2 quarts because they were 2 for $10, so, or $8 for one. Yeah, just in case I, misinterpreted how much had leaked out. That's a really nice Mustang though. Like, that's really nice. But anyway, I know a lot of people do not like the 2-valve Mustangs. I'm not a fan of them either. But you can't deny they are probably some of the best sounding Mustangs as far as the engine and the exhaust notes. They're just raspy, and even that one has stock MagnaFlows, and they're like loud. I think they're single chambers too. That's crazy about it. I might not even do much to the exhaust on that besides change the tips out because I hate the samurai sword looking exhaust that comes with that, and put an off-road X pipe or something like that, something to delete the cats out of it. Since I live in the South, there's no regulation laws at all. So, I mean, I think there would be like riots and anarchy if they implemented exhaust laws because of all the straight piped Chevy trucks that are around here. But anyway, I know not a lot of people like the 2-valve, and I even considered putting a 4-valve in there if the 2-valve's bad, like, getting a Cobra engine, until I found out that a Cobra engine with like 100,000 miles is like $5,000, and I can get a Cobra for $9,000 with the straight body and everything. So why would I put that much money into this one? The only reason I'm putting as much money into the engine, if I is going to need one, is because it does hold sentimental value to me and to the person that I bought it from. He did ask me that, when I build it, it didn't have to be now, but when, to, bring it by, show it to him. He was gonna give it to his son, but his son is a gamer, and I mean, I'm a gamer, but like dump everything into the games and stuff like that, which is what I used to be, but I'm into cars more now than I was before, and so yeah. But anyway, the 2-valve isn't the best, but I think it'll be fun. I've never had a Mustang GT before, so hey, I think it's good to start there. But I will tell you this, the next Mustang that I will be getting is a 2013 Boss 302. I just have to. I'm not going to fool around with all the... I'm going to either get a Coyote, which the Boss doesn't have the Coyote. It has a Roadrunner 5.0, which is just a little bit different, but still, it's a better engine than the 3 valves, and even though the Cobra 4 valves were really good, the regular GT Mustang 2 valves just weren't the best. But I do have plans for that. But on the Ranger, what I am planning on doing after I finish the Mustang GT, I'm going to move on to the Ranger, which, since it needs a rebuild, I'm going to just completely take the thing out of the engine. I'm going to completely pull the engine out, rebuild it from the top up, because it's the 4-liter. You don't see those a lot. They're good engines. They're steel blocks with steel heads, and they're just these really good engines. So I'm going to completely rebuild it, maybe bore it out just a little bit, just to give it a little bit more pep. I'm not a truck guy. I really could care less, but whenever I want to go camping or something like that, I don't like staying in a log cabin, and I don't like loading this ST down with stuff. And I'm not gonna put a tow hitch behind this to pull like a pop-up or something like that. No, none of my sports cars are gonna have a tow hitch. So what I'm going to do to that Ranger is I'm going to put a shell on the back of it, and I'm going to turn the inside of the shell into like this really cool sleeping under the stars kind of thing. I'm going to put like a fold down TV with inverters and stuff like that to power TVs, and I'm going to have a little sound system in the trunk and in the cab, and I'm going to have a switch that I can choose between both of them, which sounds complicated, but really that's simple stuff. So that's what I do plan on doing to that, but I want to have it painted the same white that it is now, except with metallic flakes in it, so it'd be like a pearlish white. I think that would look really good, and I'm going to redo the decals to completely stretch down the whole length of the truck and onto the camper shell. I think that would be really, really cool. But whenever I pull the engine, I'm gonna when I build it, I'm gonna go back with a little bit more aggressive cam, new lifters, because you have to go with new lifters and valves and just, stuff like that if you're gonna go with an upgraded cam to fit the cam. So I'm gonna go with something a little bit more beefy than what's already there. So that way, I'm hoping to get 350 out of it. If I can get 350 horsepower out of that truck, which I think I can, I really do, because it's like I'll put it up on the screen right now, whatever that is. I don't know exactly. I can't remember. I think it's like 220 or something like that. But I'll do that. That way, it'll be a little fun. Replace the clutch, but like a stage 2, something mild, nothing crazy. Not gonna drag race it or anything like that. So I think a 2-stage like I have in the Eclipse, I like the way it kind of, I like the travel of it. I like it better. And then when I'm done with that truck, which honestly needs the least amount of work, I'm going to move on to the Eclipse if I feel like it at the time. I don't know anything about those kind of cars. I don't know anything about the Ford G63 other than the obvious stuff, specs. I don't even know how to change the timing belt, which I believe needs a timing belt change. And so I don't know if I should pass it on to somebody that does know. It probably wouldn't be worth what I even have into it. I spent $600 on the car plus all the little stuff I have into it, so I probably have $700 into it at least. I don't think I could get that for that car at all. I think I won't say I was scanned, because I was warned, but I wasn't warned enough. I didn't know the condition of the car before I bought it, and I don't know the severity of the condition. I knew it needed some TLC. I knew it needed a convertible top. I saw pictures, but I knew it was going to need all these other things before it could drive, but I didn't know how complicated it was going to be. So I'm not going to blame anybody but myself, because you can't blame anybody but yourself. But anyway, I want to turn the Eclipse into something crazy, though. I want it to be something that's straight out of Fast and Furious, because I always liked the way they look. Like what would be considered rice now. I think I just liked that culture. I grew up watching Fast and Furious like most of us did, and I think it'd be fun to build a car that looks something like straight out of Fast and Furious. I know if you guys haven't seen Steven's SVT Focus, I'll put a picture of it up right here, and it kind of does. It doesn't have underglow or something like that, but it's lowered. It got some upgraded rims. The engine's built just a little bit. It's got a little bit of cam to it. It's pretty cool. It's something that you would see in the original Fast and Furious movie, not the tanks and Soviet. I don't know. I had lost track. Anyway, so we're back home. So let's go ahead and work on the Mustang again. So I think, as you guys can see, I think that's going to take care of that. Another issue that we had off camera was my radiator, it cracked. And so I ordered a new one, so I got a new radiator put in. And after I put it in, the water jackets that separate the coolant from the transmission fluid cracked. And so it got into the transmission. I had to drain the transmission completely out. They sent me a new one free of charge. It did the same exact thing. It cracked, leaking water into the transmission fluid the same way the second time. So instead of trying to do that again, I flushed my transmission one more time and then I don't know if you guys can see. I just went and got an external filter and drop this hood and cooler, like a transmission fluid. They were called it something like a coil. It's like a radiator for your transmission fluid. So it separated it from the water entirely, because I was tired of changing out radiators, and more tired of changing out transmission fluid. That was like, oh my god. I think I've changed the transmission fluid on that particular transmission 6 times already, and I've only had it for like 2 years. Because like other things kept breaking. It was just like crazy. But anyway, that's about it for this video, guys. Say hi to the camera, Reno. You a brat. You a brat. You a brat. But that's it for this video, guys. I hope you did enjoy. Go check out the links in the description below. There will be a link to the 5 things I hate and 5 things I love video about the Focus, as well as an exhaust review for the Mustang for whenever I did that cold start. As you guys probably saw, a link in the description to that video. So definitely go check that out, and be still watching for the Mustang videos whenever they start to come out. Whenever I have time to actually tear it apart, and the money to get the parts that I need once I do tear it apart, so it's not just sitting there completely opened up for months and months and months, you know what I mean? So be looking forward to that. But just check out all the stuff in the description below, and I will catch you in the next one. Hope you have a wonderful and safe day, and I will catch you later. Bye, guys.